Unfortunately, this battery is not overload protected. Unfortunately, I still managed to melt a small hole in the bucket. He's trying to get out, but unfortunately, there's some smoke coming from the tires. Unfortunately, the S7's actual current is lower than the display indicator. Unfortunately, I pushed the saw a little too hard and the chainsaw stalled. Unfortunately, the Harbor Freight isn't going to work. Unfortunately, the belt sander did not come with instruction. Unfortunately, this attachment also has the M10 threads. Unfortunately, the entire assembly seems to be acting more like a funnel. Unfortunately, the union let go at 8.6 pounds. Unfortunately, the Hornsey did not age well. Unfortunately, the keeper didn't survive the test. Unfortunately, the Hallmaster gave up before making it to 24 inches. Unfortunately, the swivel head on the pony is pretty stiff. Unfortunately, the threads are now galled. Unfortunately, it just didn't do a good job of dissolving the grease. Unfortunately, they forgot to mention, unfortunately, the quality of these cutoff wheels is pretty poor. Unfortunately, the Chevrolet Suburban also has a small exhaust leak. Unfortunately, the jack is beginning to lean and bend at 1,000 pounds. Unfortunately, the Mac Tools is a little bit too loose. Unfortunately, the AlphaBot is pretty fragile and did not survive the bench test. Unfortunately, the AlphaBot is still not functioning properly. Unfortunately, the Povesi is not up to the challenge. Unfortunately, that's only 1/3 of the advertised capacity. And unfortunately, it only made 46.9. Unfortunately, the Tuffham really struggled in this test. Unfortunately, part of the toolbox case is already broken. Unfortunately, the dwell kit does not include any wrenches. Unfortunately, there's no way to lock the 3 tool trays. Unfortunately, the quality of the tool case is the worst yet. Unfortunately, the Husky lost a lot of ground on the second attempt. Unfortunately, the weld didn't do a good job of sticking to the HDPE. Unfortunately, there's a pretty good stream coming out. Unfortunately, the $54 Koken only has 22 teeth. Unfortunately, the pawl broke. Unfortunately, the thermostat seems just as loud as the Amazon Basics. Unfortunately, that's a lot of voltage drop, but unfortunately, it's very jagged. Unfortunately, it is prone to breaking. Unfortunately, the engine will end up with a valve dropping into the cylinder. But unfortunately, I pushed the saw a little too hard. Unfortunately, I pushed the little saw a little too hard and it stalled. Unfortunately, I cut a little too far and the tree came down without. Unfortunately, Cousin Eddie did not get to pull the tree over. Unfortunately, the tip of the Mayhew punch experienced a lot of damage. Unfortunately, the stall wheel does not include onboard bit storage. Unfortunately, the gear wrench does not include onboard bit storage. Unfortunately, the Snap-on does not have onboard bit storage. Unfortunately, it's in terrible condition at only 204 cranking amps. Unfortunately, this battery is just about gone. So unfortunately, the Epsom salt did not fix the problem. Unfortunately, it's at a very low 62 cranking amp. Unfortunately, it did not help. Unfortunately, I made a huge mistake and